After marrying the poor boy I'd had a crush on for years, our life was full of constant arguments. In our 5th year of marriage, I asked to end our marriage, where we shared a bed but were worlds apart. The ever-stoic Xie Xiaohe readily agreed. Fine. He left me all our assets, walking away with nothing. But on the day we were heading to finalize the divorce, a runaway truck slammed into us. In that instant, Xie Xiaohe instinctively pulled me into a tight embrace. His last words to me were, "In the next life, I still want to be your husband." When I opened my eyes again, we were both back at 18. It wasn't strange to see Xie Xiaohe outside the classroom. After all, his class was right next to mine. The moment our eyes met, I realized he had come back, too. The 18-year-old Xie Xiaohe was just a poor boy, working several jobs to pay for his gambling addict father's medical bills, even wearing a school uniform donated by a previous graduating class. The immense pressure had shrouded him in a gloomy, cold aura that pushed most people away. But the Xie Xiaohe standing before me now was clearly different. One hand in his pocket, he stared at me quietly, exuding an air of quiet authority. It was something he'd naturally developed after years of climbing to the top. Even as a couple who shared a bed but lived separate, politely distant lives, we had still been husband and wife for 5 solid years. We still had some level of understanding. So with just one look from me, he got the message and followed me to an empty corner upstairs. So we're back at 18? He was still playing it cool. It seems so. A 30-year-old man. I put my hands on my hips, thought for a moment, and quickly accepted this new reality. After all, I'd never really suffered in my life, having been doted on by my family since I was a child. Coming back to 18 gave me a chance to avoid my life's only stain right from the source, my marriage to Xie Xiaohe. Oh, perfect! Now we don't have to finalize the divorce. From now on, let's just go our separate ways. His gaze was lowered, making it impossible to read his thoughts. I suddenly remembered the image of Xie Xiaohe throwing himself over me without a second thought during the crash, and a pang of pity rose in my heart. Even if we can't be husband and wife, we can still be friends. If you have any trouble at home, don't hesitate to tell me. I patted his shoulder and turned to leave, but he gently grabbed my arm. Do you hate me that much? I said seriously, I don't hate you. I just think I deserve a better marriage. Don't you agree? To be fair, Xie Xiaohe was a flawless husband and son-in-law. His ability to build an empire from scratch and become a new tech mogul proved his capability. When we divorced, he left me everything, walking away with nothing. 4 years, he was more attentive to my parents than I was, and he even took all the blame for the divorce. It all spoke to his character, but he just didn't love me. Our life was bland and businesslike. Except in bed. 5 years was more than enough to prove we weren't right for each other. He let go of my arm. The better marriage you're talking about, is it with Zhou Zili? I was completely baffled. I'd had a crush on Zhou Zili for a while in high school, but I never thought he'd remember it all this time. But the bell for class had been ringing for a while, so I didn't answer, just urged him to hurry back to his classroom. Back in my classroom, I was, as expected, chewed out by the math teacher. I hung my head and stood at the back of the room for the entire period. But this was a regular occurrence. Everyone was used to it. Bored, I flipped through my textbook, only to realize with a shock that I couldn't solve a single math problem in it. I quickly tapped the student behind me. What's today's date? He whispered. April 13th. I'm screwed. My world was falling apart. At 18, I could at least get into a top-tier university. At 30, I'd be lucky to get into middle school. A deep sense of crisis washed over me. If in 2.5 months I haven't returned to my 30-year-old self, or at least regained my 18-year-old academic level, how am I supposed to survive? Even when you're reborn back in time, the college entrance exams are still the top priority. The day I got home, I bugged my mom to find me 6 tutors, 1 for each subject. My dad was so pleased to see my new ambition, he doubled my allowance on the spot. A few days went by like that, and on Friday, I went to school as usual. As I was going up the stairs, a figure came stumbling straight into me. Luckily, my reflexes were sharp, and I managed to steady him. Xie Xiaohe! I frowned, noticing the dark circles under his eyes. What's going on with you? You look exhausted. He just shook his head. said nothing, and walked around me. I suddenly remembered. It was at this exact same time in my past life that Xie Xiaohe's father was critically ill and needed a huge sum of money. His family situation wasn't a secret. Back then, I'd taken pity on him and lent him a large sum of money, and from that point on, our lives became hopelessly entangled. I sighed. If I was planning to keep my distance this time, it was best not to get involved in the slightest. I went back to the classroom and threw myself into studying, completely focused. Soon, third period was over. The long break between classes had been canceled due to the rain, but the hallway was still buzzing with commotion. My desk mate insisted on dragging me out to see what all the fuss was about. Squeezing through the crowd, I saw Qin Hanshan, her face bright and proud, holding out a card to Xie Xiaohe with a touch of shyness. "Here, Xie Xiaohe," she said. "I know you need money right now. Be my boyfriend, and I promise you won't have to work anymore." It was the exact same scene from my past life. Qin Hanshan had a crush on Xie Xiaohe for years and had always tried, in vain, to win him over with her family's money and influence. But in my past life, I had stepped in, stopping Qin Hanshan and saving Xie Xiaohe from the humiliation. This time, however, sure enough, Xie Xiaohe didn't even glance at Qin Hanshan. Instead, his gaze was fixed on me. I couldn't tell what that look meant, but a war was raging inside me between compassion and logic, and I couldn't tell which was winning. I knew him too well. To be put on the spot like this, in front of everyone, was a complete humiliation for him. "What's with the attitude, Xie Xiaohe? The money on that card is more than you could make in 10 years. Just take it. Seriously, if I had his looks, I'd have taken it in a heartbeat." Qin Hanshan shot the onlookers a glare, then turned back to Xie Xiaohe, her expression even more bashful. "I don't mean anything by it. I just want to help you." Seeing the light drain from his eyes, I fought back the urge to intervene, grabbed my desk mate, and ran back to the classroom. You, what was that for?" I didn't get to see Xie Xiaohe's answer. I wanted to blurt out that he would never agree, but I, of all people, knew the desperate situation he was in. In the end, I couldn't say for sure what he would do. In that moment, it was as if I didn't know him at all. I was on edge for the rest of the day, getting more than half of my math problems wrong. When I got home, my dad came out of the kitchen wearing an apron and took my backpack from me. "Hurry, come eat. I made your favorite sweet and sour pork ribs. You must be exhausted after a whole week of studying." My mom, who was wearing a face mask, could tell something was wrong at a single glance. "What's wrong, Yu? Did you have a bad day at school?" I was so happy I wanted to cry, yet at the same time, I was tormented by the guilt of knowing someone was in trouble and doing nothing to help. After a long moment, I ran into my bedroom, found my bank card, and rushed back out the door. "Mom, Dad, you guys go ahead and eat. I'll be right back." Following my memory, I found Xie Xiaohe's house and knocked on the door. The first thing that hit me was the musty smell of old furniture, damp from the rainy season, followed by the crisp scent of Xie Xiaohe's body wash. He was clearly surprised. "What are you doing here?" I quickly pulled out the card and pressed it into his palm. "Take this. Consider it a thank you for the car accident. Though it wouldn't really help." He looked stunned. "I thought you didn't want anything to do with me." I kicked at a loose stone on the ground. "You know me. I talk tough, but I'm a softie. Loyal to a fault. But don't get the wrong idea." He finally managed a small smile. Then he handed the card back to me. "Yo, I appreciate the thought, but I've already raised the money for the medical bills." Just as I was about to ask how, I heard footsteps, and a girl walked out of the room. "Xie Xiaohe, who've you been talking to for so long?" It was Qin Hanshan. In an instant, my face flushed red. "Since you've got the money, I'll be going then." I was flustered, desperate to get away. A wave of disappointment washed over me, but I knew this was his choice, and I had no right to interfere. "Wait!" Xie Xiaohe caught up to me, his composure cracking for once. "Don't get the wrong idea. It's not what you think." I waved my hands dismissively. I wasn't thinking anything. He was breathing hard, gripping my arm tightly. I didn't agree to be with her. I just sold my first project to her family. I was dumbfounded. "What?" Half an hour later, Qin Hanshan got up to leave. She stood at the door, biting her lip. It's about to rain again, and my family's car can't get in here. Xie Xiaohe, can you walk me out? Xie Xiaohe dug out an umbrella that was still in decent shape and handed it to her. Here. Be careful on your way. Annoyance flashed across Qin Hanshan's face. She shot me a jealous glare. Just you wait, Xie Xiaohe. I'm going to make you mine. Having made her bold declaration, she stormed off, leaving Xie Xiaohe and me staring at each other. That project of yours, I remember it was worth 10 million. You sold it for just 1 million. Xie Xiaohe showed no trace of regret. Desperate times. Not many people can see its potential right now. Qin Hanshan's father is one of them. I let out an awkward laugh. Turning an admirer into a client. I guess that was a skill of his. With a practiced ease, Xie Xiaohe poured a glass of warm water and handed it to me. All I have is water. Drink it warm. I remember your period is due soon. I took the glass and had a token sip. This was the worst part about a couple that knew each other inside and out trying to act like strangers. He sat down next to me. So why did you come? Weren't you the one who wanted to draw a line between us? I felt a surge of discomfort and turned to leave. Just say I had a moment of insanity. He grabbed my wrist. His voice was hoarse. You pity me. The pad of his thumb seemed to be gently stroking the sensitive skin on the inside of my wrist. Our breathing seemed to fill the small, dim rental room with a charged intimacy. If you're going to pity me, then pity me all the way. Can you do that? I looked down at Xie Xiaohe's flawless, 18-year-old face and found it impossible to say no. That day, I stayed with him for a while, ate the dinner he cooked himself, and didn't head home until after 8. My parents were about to kill me, but after I told them about Xie Xiaohe's situation, their tone changed to one of sympathy. He really is a poor kid. Yoyu, you have a kind heart, and you did the right thing. But you have to tell Mom and Dad next time, understand? I nodded. Hey, I remember that kid is first in his grade, isn't he? Why don't we have him tutor Yoyu? It would be a good way to help ease his financial burden. I never thought I'd end up shooting myself in the foot. How could my parents have known that Xie Xiaohe, with the knowledge and intellect of a 30-year-old, had absolutely no need to make money as a tutor? I had planned to just brush them off, but who would have thought that the very next day at noon, I'd be called into the office only to hear Xie Xiaohe putting on an act on the phone. Yes. Thank you, sir and ma'am. It's true I've been a bit short on cash lately. Yes, math is my strong suit. Okay. After hanging up, Xie Xiaohe looked at me, his eyes brimming with a smugness he couldn't hide. Even our homeroom teacher chimed in. Chen Yoyu, your parents mentioned wanting to hire Xie Xiaohe to tutor you, and I've given my approval. You need to study hard and try to surpass him. I forced a smile and agreed. Once we were out of the office, I pulled him into a corner. You're short on cash? What happened to that million of yours? Did a dog eat it? I'm not short on it, but I need this. He looked down. I don't want to go through that kind of humiliation again. I glanced at the hallway outside his classroom not far away and sighed. Sure enough, his pride was even more intense than before. Fine. From now on, you can come to my place on weekends. And so, the tutoring was settled. That Saturday morning, Xie Xiaohe arrived as scheduled. I had just woken up at 9, so I quickly ran a hand through my hair before letting him in. Make yourself at home. I'm going to go wash up. He was very casual about it, not like a guest at all. Chen Yoyu. What is it? I walked out, my hands and face covered in foam. Xie Xiaohe hooked a finger under a thin piece of fabric slung over the back of a chair. You didn't wash your underwear, he stated flatly. I snatched it from him, ran back to the bathroom to quickly finish up, then gathered my things and led him to the study. I reminded him through gritted teeth, men and women should maintain a proper distance. He looked a little confused. Us too. I shot him a glare. I'm 18 now, a high school student, not your wife. With his backpack slung over one shoulder, he resignedly followed me into the study. After all, this was Xie Xiaohe's bread and butter. His brain still worked a little better than mine. With his help, my math skills finally recovered to about 80% of what they were when I was 18. On a weekend in early May, after our session, I handed him an envelope. My mom told me to give you this. It's the tutoring fee. He chuckled lightly, took it, and glanced inside. Mom and Dad are as kind-hearted as ever. I retorted, "They're not your mom and dad anymore. Watch your wording." He didn't say anything, just stuffed the envelope back into the drawer. I was confused. "You don't want it? Then why are you tutoring me?" He gazed at me quietly. Just as an absurd thought started to form in my mind, he suddenly asked, "Have you noticed anything different about me?" He had changed. We talked more in this short time than we had in the past year or two combined. So I stated the obvious. "You talk more." He seemed a little exasperated. "Yo-yo, I'm not tutoring you for the money. It's just because I want to see you." Silence filled the study. After a long moment, I pressed the back of my hand to his forehead. "Xie Xiaoha, are you sick?" He caught my hand. "I'm not." "Then why are you acting like a completely different person?" "Because I always thought that you still liked." A rush of hurried footsteps sounded from the hallway, quickly coming to a stop at the study door. "Yo-yo, I'm back in the country." I was still waiting for Xie Xiaoha's answer when an uninvited guest burst into the study, excitedly picking me up and spinning me in a circle. "You, I'm finally back. I'll be with you for the college entrance exams." The spinning left me dizzy. After a moment, when I finally caught my breath, I remembered. In my past life, this was exactly when Zhou Zili returned to the country. I subconsciously glanced over at Xie Xiaoha. He was sitting off to the side, head lowered, his distant aura making him seem completely out of place. Zhou Zili had clearly noticed the stranger, too. After I made the introductions, he slung an arm around my shoulders and said cheerfully, You're a genius. Is there any problem that can stump you? It's Saturday. No more studying. I brought you gifts. Let's go check them out." Xie Xiaoha stood up. "I'll be going then," he said coolly. I saw him to the door in silence. Neither of us brought up our earlier conversation. The envelope with his payment was still in the drawer ungiven. Outside the villa, he rode away on his bicycle into the rain. Zhou Zili tirelessly pulled me over to unpack the full suitcase of gifts he'd brought back. "This is perfume, your favorite scent. These are earrings. Look at this pink diamond. The moment I saw it, I knew it belonged on your ear." He was eager. You, let me put them on for you." A slight sting pulled me back to my senses. Zhou Zili was leaning in very close, one hand cupping my earlobe, his eyes closed as he moved in for a kiss. For some reason, the look in Xie Xiaoha's eyes as he left came to mind. I pushed him away instinctively. Zhou Zili blinked his innocent, puppy dog eyes. You don't like it?" I did used to like Zhou Zili. He took good care of me, too. But after I confessed to him when I was 16, he gave me an affectionate kiss on the cheek, then turned around and was just as sweet and flirty with other people. That's when I knew he wasn't worthy of me. "Come on, you. Are you really still upset about that?" "Of course I'm not upset. He's explained it many times, and I understand. It's the kind of etiquette taught by the culture he was immersed in growing up. I just don't accept it. When it comes to that, at least Xie Xiaoha treats me as if I'm one of a kind." He retreated dejectedly, then pretended nothing had happened as he went back to showing me the rest of the gifts. When my parents got home, they were thrilled to see Zhou Zili and enthusiastically invited him to stay the night. So as expected, Zhou Zili stayed. Later that night, after my shower, I went downstairs to get some water when I heard the doorbell ring. I looked out the window. It was dark, with a torrential downpour outside. Who would be coming to my house at a time like this? On the video intercom, I saw Xie Xiaoha. His lips were pressed into a thin line, his face was a little pale, and his shoulders were soaked. I quickly opened the door. "What are you doing here?" "It's pouring out there." His voice was muffled. "I left my notebook at your house. I came to get it." I hurried to find him a new pair of slippers. "If you left something, you could have just told me. I would have brought it to school for you tomorrow. Did you have to come out in this weather? Don't you know you get fevers easily when you're caught in the rain?" His expression suddenly softened, and he readily apologized. I ran to the kitchen counter, found some cold medicine, and mixed a glass for him. "Drink this first. I'll get your notebook." I don't know when he'd appeared, but Zhou Zili was standing at the top of the stairs in his pajamas, holding up a navy blue notebook. A smirk played on his lips. You, is your guest looking for this?" Xie Xiaoha's strange gaze fell on me for a second before he said coldly, "That's mine. Please give it back." Zhou Zili seemed completely oblivious to his hostility. Of course. I'm sure you treasure this notebook. By the way, I heard from your mom that your family isn't doing so well. Yoyu wanted to help you, but was afraid of hurting your pride. I told her, a genius like our Yoyu, why would she ever need someone to tutor her? Shut up! I blurted out, then realized how rude I was being. Please, don't say any more. You're a guest in my home after all. His tone changed instantly. Yoyu, how could I be just a guest? We're childhood sweethearts. We grew up together. Xie Xiaohe watched coldly, then turned and walked away. I couldn't be bothered with Zhou Zili, and went after Xie Xiaohe. Wait, take your medicine first. I don't need it. Then I'll have the driver take you home. I blocked his path, unconsciously touching his soaked shoulder. Did you bike here? The rain's getting heavier. Let me have someone drive you home. He stared at me for a long moment, his tone forlorn. You're the one who said we shouldn't get too involved. I was speechless. Yoyu, Zili, little Xia, what are you all doing just standing downstairs in the middle of the night? My mom turned on the porch light, looking at the three of us in confusion. After I gave her a brief explanation, she told Xie Xiaohe to just stay the night and leave in the morning. The driver's probably already asleep anyway. My mom always knows what to do. So I went to get the guest room ready for him. When I finished, I found Xie Xiaohe slumped on the sofa, his face flushed. I reached out to feel his forehead. Sure enough, he was burning up. I was about to go downstairs to find some medicine for him when he pulled me into a searing embrace. The fever had made him delirious. Yoyu, is it true that no matter how hard I try, I'll never be good enough for you? I had never heard Xie Xiaohe say something so self-deprecating. He had always been proud, rich or poor. It didn't take much effort to break free from his embrace. After I got him to take the medicine, I went back to my room. Zhou Zili was still waiting at my door looking hurt. Yoyu, are you mad at me? I decided to be direct with him. I'm not angry, I just don't like it. Why did you have to mock him like that? Have you started judging people based on their wealth and status? He grew flustered. No, that's not it, Yoyu, don't get the wrong idea. It's just that I saw how familiar you are with him, how close. I was jealous. His words left me stunned for a moment. Close. He nodded bitterly. I saw it. You care about him. All your attention is on him. How could that be? No one had ever said I was like that with Xie Xiaohe. I thought I'd hidden it so well. It was already late, but Zhou Zili wouldn't let it go. Regardless, Zili, that's my business. As my friend, I expect you to be more polite to him. He forced a smile and left, looking completely dejected. I slept fitfully, my mind heavy with thoughts, and woke to find it was just getting light out. I ran to the room next door to check on Xie Xiaohe. Thankfully, his fever had broken, and some color had returned to his face. Just then, he suddenly opened his eyes. He glanced around the room, and the first thing he said was, "Where's my notebook?" What a strange guy. I found the notebook in the crack of the sofa, and was about to open it. What's in here that's so precious to you? But he snatched it away before I could. His eyes darted away. It's nothing. Just stuff you wouldn't be interested in. Xie Xiaohe left early that day. I didn't know if he would still tutor me next week. I wanted to ask, but I couldn't bring myself to say anything. Zhou Zili transferred into my class. His gentlemanly act instantly won over a ton of girls. But it was like he couldn't take a hint, constantly showing up in front of me, borrowing my notes, buying me cake, bringing me milk tea. But he didn't know I was already 30. An 18-year-old girl might get butterflies from things like that, but a 30-year-old woman remains completely unfazed. He did, however, cause me some trouble. Xie Xiaohe's expression grew increasingly gloomy. Sometimes, I could feel his eyes on my back, secretly watching me. Until one day in gym class, I ran into him. He stopped me. "Yoyu, are you really going to marry him?" His eyes fell on the roses in my arms, ones I hadn't had a chance to give back yet, and he looked away. Forget it. Just pretend I never asked. Before I could even explain, he was already gone, looking utterly dejected. I realized then that Xie Xiaohe had a habit of jumping to conclusions. A little while later, a commotion erupted from the field below. Qin Hanshan's cheerful voice drifted in from the window. That transfer student? He's got nothing on my Xie Xiaohe. They're playing basketball. Obviously, I'm gonna go cheer for Xie Xiaohe. I had a bad feeling, so I dragged my deskmate down to the field too. The game was already underway. I got squeezed to the front and watched for a bit. I zoned out for a second, and suddenly a ball came hurtling toward me. Zhou Zili and Xie Xiaohe rushed over at the same time. Xie Xiaohe snatched the ball cleanly out of the air. I smiled. Xie Xiaohe, at your age, you're still letting your pride get the best of you? I knew he was annoyed with Zhou Zili. A bead of sweat dripped down his face. He glanced at the crowd around us but said nothing. The game ended soon after. Zhou Zili won by a single point. As the crowd dispersed, he called out to Xie Xiaohe with a swagger. Bet sabet. You owe our team dinner. You've got enough cash to make good on your promise, don't you, Xie Xiaohe? A few curious onlookers stopped to watch. I'd had enough. I stepped up next to Xie Xiaohe. Zili, that's the second time. You're being incredibly rude. But this time, Zhou Zili didn't back down. Yoyu, I just want you to see that he's not good enough for you. That's bullshit. Qin Hanshan chucked a sports drink in his direction. Who the hell cares about money? My family is loaded, and I can't stand phony social climbers like you. She pulled out her wallet and shoved it into Xie Xiaohe's arms. Here, treat them. I've got enough money to feed them, till they drop dead. Xie Xiaohe and I both laughed at Qin Hanshan's blunt, fiery personality. I carefully tucked the wallet back into her pocket. I smiled. Don't worry, he has the money. Don't forget, he made $1 million off of you. Qin Hanshan let out an "oh," then grumbled. I knew you two were together. Not my place to be paying for him then. I couldn't resist patting her on the head. Next time, spend that money on yourself. Qin Hanshan walked away, glancing back over her shoulder every few steps. I was about to just pull Xie Xiaohe away, but on second thought, I was too angry to let it go. Zili, I've told you before. Our families have known each other for generations. I haven't had feelings for you in a long time, but I thought if we couldn't be a couple, we could at least be friends. But if you're going to insist on repeatedly insulting my friends and causing problems for me, then maybe we can't even be that. Xie Xiaohe silently followed me back to the classroom. He suddenly pulled me into a corner, his voice laced with hope. You just said that you stopped liking Zhou Zili a long time ago. I gave him a strange look. I've told you many times. He smiled, his eyes crinkling. I thought you were lying. I'm sorry. The bell was about to ring, but he acted as if he hadn't heard it. So you didn't divorce me because of Zhou Zili. Around that time, our families were doing business together, so we did see each other a bit more. But what does he have to do with my divorce? I wanted to divorce you because you were so cold to me, you know. It came out sounding a bit like I was whining, and I regretted it the moment the words left my mouth. All I wanted was to get back to class. But he wouldn't let me go, his gaze fixed on me. I thought you were in love with him, that you didn't like me. What a ridiculous misunderstanding. I just wanted to get this over with. Okay, so now it's all cleared up. Not that it matters anymore. Can I go back to class now? I said through gritted teeth. And this period is math. His expression softened, and he immediately let me go. Standing at the back door of the classroom, sure enough, the math teacher started chewing me out. Mr. Su, Xie Xiaohe said gently, knocking on the front door. Mr. Zhou just asked Chen Yoyu to help count test papers. Mr. Su stopped mid-sentence and shot me an apologetic look. Yoyu, go on back to your seat. And Xie Xiaohe, the effortless liar, had already made a graceful exit. That day after school, Xie Xiaohe kept his promise and took his team out to eat. Except Zhou Zili didn't go, but that was none of our business. We found a hole-in-the-wall place, invited Qin Hanshan, and got ready to pig out. She's a bit high maintenance, but she didn't mind. While eating skewers, she gushed about how delicious they were, all while cursing out Xie Xiaohe for his bad taste. I laughed and explained, we're not dating. Don't get the wrong idea. Hearing this, Xie Xiaohe just raised an eyebrow. Qin Hanshan laughed triumphantly. Serves you right. So there is someone you can't win over, Xie Xiaohe. After that dinner, it seemed like Qin Hanshan had truly gotten over Xie Xiaohe. She might seem carefree, but when my family's driver was taking her home, a tear suddenly rolled down her cheek. She told me, "I can tell you two are so close. I definitely don't stand a chance." She cried harder and harder, and I couldn't comfort her, not as the victor in her eyes. So I just sat with her quietly until she was done. When she was done crying, she gave me a tight hug before getting out of the car. Don't say yes to Xie Xiaohe too quickly. Make him suffer a little, just like I did. It was late when I got home, but I still saw a familiar figure waiting by my gate. "It's so late. What are you doing at my house?" He gazed at me. "I couldn't sleep. I wanted to see you." I froze. To be honest, he'd never said anything like that to me in all the years we were married. So I just shot back, "Well, you've seen me. You can go home now." The streetlight was bright, which only made me feel more exposed and unsure of what to do. Because Xie Xiaohe was being more serious than I'd ever seen him. "I'm sorry, Yoyu. I was a terrible husband during our marriage. I thought you were in love with Zhou Zili, that marrying me was just a matter of convenience. That's why I kept pulling away all those years. I'm sorry for making you so sad and disappointed." I twisted the hem of my shirt, a flicker of nervousness stirring inside me. "Yoyu, I'm begging you to forgive me. Whether we're 18 or 30, can you please give me another chance?" Should I give him another chance? Would I just be making the same mistake all over again? "Yoyu, are you out there?" The front door cracked open, and my mom called out to me. I quickly called back, "Mom, I'll be right in." I unlocked the gate to our yard and went inside. But then I couldn't stop myself from turning back. "Xie Xiaohe, I can't answer that right now. But will you still be here to tutor me tomorrow?" He smiled. "Of course." Under the streetlight, his silhouette stood waiting, just as it always had. The college entrance exams were just around the corner, so for the next few days, I threw myself completely into studying. This exam was important to both me and Xie Xiaohe. I needed to prove to the shareholders that the Chen family heir wasn't a good-for-nothing. Xie Xiaohe needed a chance to get ahead in life, so we were both taking it very seriously. After class that day, I handed him a debit card. He asked, confused, "What are you trying to do now?" "I remember hearing your dad isn't doing so well, right?" I hesitated. "If you want to save him, this money could help." That gambling addict father of his was the root of all his misfortune, so I wasn't sure if he even wanted to save him. Xie Xiaohe was silent for a moment before handing the card back to me, along with another one of his own. "You don't need to worry about him. And you don't need to worry about money either. I've taken on a few projects recently. I'm a little better off than you think. I put it all in there. The pen is our wedding anniversary. So much for the damsel saving the hero. Instead, I was the one who got a pile of cash. I took the cards. For someone with his earning power, it really was just a drop in the bucket anyway." Time flew by, and before we knew it, the exams were upon us. My parents were far more nervous than I was. They even made 2 trips to a temple to get me a good luck charm. On the second trip, I had them get one for Xie Xiaohe too. He was pleasantly surprised when he got it. "For me? For good luck on the exams?" I shook my head. "No, I already know how well you'll do. This is for your safety and well-being. Whether we ended up as husband and wife or not, I wanted Xie Xiaohe to have a good life." He went out of his way to buy a new phone case just to tuck the charm inside. "With you looking out for me, I know I'll be safe." Before the exams, he did end up moving his father to a different hospital and hiring a private caregiver. His tone was cold. Whether he pulls through or not is up to fate now. On the last day, I couldn't be bothered to review any of that tedious material anymore. I pulled Xie Xiaohe out to the courtyard to eat watermelon with me. We split one. I sighed. "Xie Xiaohe, if only we could go back to our own time right now." All he asked was, "If we go back, will you still divorce me?" We were talking past each other. If we went back, I wouldn't have to take these exams. Even though every night before I fell asleep, I hoped I'd wake up back in my 30-year-old body, the day of the exam arrived right on schedule. Stepping into the exam hall for the second time in my life, I was surprised to find I was still a little nervous. It was only after the last exam that I found out Zhou Zili hadn't even shown up. Oh, who knows what that boy was arguing with his parents about. He absolutely refused to go. Now they're planning to send him back to the States again, my mom told me. She was at the airport. She asked if I wanted to come see Zhou Zili off. Zelie is waiting for you. I was surprised, and yet I wasn't. That was Zhou Zelie for you. Reckless and impulsive, doing whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. My parents didn't know about the bad blood between us, and I didn't want to drag them into it. So I just gave a vague excuse, saying I didn't have time. But it wasn't long before Zhou Zelie called. Yu, you won't even see me? It was noisy on his end, probably an announcement for him to board his flight. He sounded frantic. Do you really think that Xie Xiaoha is a good guy? I'm telling you, he's had designs on you for a long time. Go look at his notebook. Don't you find someone like that creepy? A notebook? Xie Xiaoha was indeed very protective of that ordinary-looking notebook. I'd been curious about it at first, but with the college entrance exams right around the corner, I hadn't had the mental energy for it. But when I was talking to Zhou Zelie, I still found myself defending Xie Xiaoha instinctively. Whatever is going on, that's between us. Zelie, stop being so childish. Have a good life. I hung up the phone. His plane took off. I hailed a cab and went straight to Xie Xiaoha's place. I knocked for a long time before he finally opened the door. He was wearing a fresh white shirt and black pants, his hair still wet. Sorry, I was just in the shower. I frowned. He didn't have a habit of showering during the day, and when he opened the door, it was clear he was struggling to keep it together. So I asked him straight out, "What's wrong with you?" He invited me in and poured me a glass of water. "He's dead. I just got back from the funeral home." I froze, so they couldn't save him after all. In that moment, I didn't know if I should console him or congratulate him. I walked over and hugged him. "You did everything you could, Xie Xiaoha. We have to look forward." He bent down and held me tightly. "Yeah, my future has you in it." I didn't contradict him, because on his desk I saw the notebook, the one he had run back into the rain to find. On an impulse, I said, "Xie Xiaoha, are you hungry? Why don't we get something to eat?" "Okay, what do you want to eat?" "I'll cook," I said offhandedly. "Just make those few dishes you always used to make at home." I was talking about the years we were married, and he clearly understood. He gave me a tight hug, then changed his shoes and went out to buy groceries. I was alone in the house. Curiosity got the better of me, and I opened the notebook. What could be in it that made Zhou Zelie call him twisted? The first thing I saw were just a few report cards, but on every single one, my name and Xie Xiaoha's were posted side by side. After each report card, there were a few brief lines. "She got first place, I got second. This is the first time our names have been so close. She has so many good friends around her. When will I be the only one? I don't like donating money. If I had a happy family like Zhou Zelie, would I be able to stand by her side? From the first semester of our freshman year to the last semester of our senior year." However, the handwriting after the last report card was different. I recognized it as the handwriting of the 30-year-old Xie Xiaoha. I hope this is the chance fate has given me. I flipped through page after page, my hand starting to shake. You saw. Xie Xiaoha had returned. He stood in the doorway, his tone strange. "Don't be afraid of me." I felt a prickle in my nose and I punched him. "So you've liked me all this time? Then why didn't you say anything?" He looked down. "I was afraid of bothering you. You, so many people liked you. I was just the most unremarkable one among them." I threw myself into his arms. "That's not true at all. You were the best one." Everything was out in the open, and soon after, our college entrance exam scores came out. It felt like everything was finally settled. I sometimes found myself wondering when I would suddenly be sent back to my 30-year-old life. But that moment never came. Eventually, Xie Xiaoha would comfort me. You, isn't it good to start over? At 25, I'll propose to you again." I hugged him and said with a laugh, "Can it be 22? He froze for a moment. "Of course it can.